And folks, this is the card that I wouldn't be surprised if we sooner than later saw it reach over $1,000 as a PSA 10. I'm just calling it right now. I see trends all the time doing these market recaps. I think in future auction recaps, we'll be seeing this card at 4 figures. What's going on, everybody? Top 10 Pokemon back, and today I am bringing you another top Pokemon card auctions of the week recap. The hot topic of this week and the past several weeks, as a matter of fact, has been the insane rise in the value of certain alt art Pokemon cards, including the Moonbreon VMAX, the Giratina V from Lost Origin, amongst several others, and we'll also be touching on the sale of a PSA 10 First Edition base set Charizard that once again hit a new low, at least from the past 4 years, in its auction price. So stay tuned for all of that and more. Thank you so much for joining me today. Quick shout out to today's auction recap sponsor. It is lowpopping.com, your source for investment-worthy Pokemon cards. If you want to get your hands on some high-end trading cards, you have to go visit lowpopping.com. Whether it's vintage grails or modern grails, lowpopping.com has something for everyone on there. I'm talking graded cards, graded video games, graded booster packs, vintage theme decks, autographed cards, and some insanely valuable trophy cards as well. And don't forget, folks, if you don't have the cash on hand, you can make trades for the cards that you must have for your collection. And you can also sell to them or make offers. And don't forget, they also have buy now, pay later options also available for you to take advantage of. So after this recap, go to lowpopping.com, check out their inventory. I'll put a link to the website in the description of this video. Go take a look at what they have, and as always, let me know what you pick up. Alright folks, if you love alt art Pokemon cards, and I know that you do, you're going to love this next segment. Let's go over some of the record-breaking sales, starting off with the Giratina V from Lost Origin. Had a few PSA 10 sales this week. Here's one that sold for $898. Another one here sold for $970. Another one here sold for $980. And then lastly, we saw one sell for $1,009 as a PSA 10. Who could have seen this coming? But that's not all, folks. Let's go over several other alt art cards. Here are several from Fusion Strike. Here's the alt art Mew VMAX, sold for $178. The alt art Espeon VMAX sold for $405. And then the most expensive card from Fusion Strike, the Gengar VMAX, the Anus Gengar, if you will, sold for $745 as a PSA 10. From Chilling Reign, we saw a Galarian Moltres V sells a PSA 10 for $320, as well as the Blaziken VMAX that sold for $465. From Battle Styles, we have the most expensive card from the set, the Sleepy Tyranitar V, selling for an even $400 this week. From Evolving Skies, we saw the Rayquaza V alt art sell for $345. And then the Moonbreon had some record-breaking sales as a PSA 10 this week. Here's a sale for $1,400 and another one for $1,650. This was a confirmed paid sale right here, folks. So Moonbreon population continues to skyrocket, as well as the price. What's up with that? And then to finish off the alt arts, here are a few bangers from Team Up. Here's the Magikarp and Wailord GX that sold for $510. The Gengar and Mimikyu GX sold for $830. And then the Latios GX alt art continues to be the most expensive one in PSA 10. Here's a sale of $1,975. And we had another sale of $2,405. So alternate art cards continue to be one of the most coveted chase cards that you can get your hands on in this hobby. Let's go over a couple of XY era cards. Here is a full art Gyarados EX from Breakpoint. This is a secret rare card that sold for $320. Here we have a Mega Mewtwo EX from Breakthrough Set, sold for $359, along with this full art Mewtwo EX that sold for $493. On to some vintage cards. Here's a very interesting sale. Now, this wasn't an auction. This was a best offer accepted sale. It is a PSA 10 base set Squirtle. It's a shadowless red diamond error card. Pop 4 card. If you don't know what's going on here, down in the text in the middle of the card there's a little, like, a red diamond, I guess, be the only way to describe it. This card was listed for $2,299, but did end up having a best offer accepted price of $2,000. So this is a card I have never seen before, at least graded as a PSA 10. Thought it would make for an interesting sale price. We saw the Unlimited Base Set Chansey come by as a PSA 10, sold for $2,226. Here's an Unlimited Snorlax from Jungle that sold as a PSA 10 for $1,910. And we saw a first edition Dark Blastoise from Team Rocket in PSA 10 that sold for $1,927. Here's a first edition Koga's Beedrill from Gym Challenge that sold for $686. And then we saw this Unlimited Dark Espeon from Neo Destiny sell for $962. So most Unlimited WotC Hollows in PSA 10 don't really fetch much of a premium unless they are really popular Pokemon like Espeon here, or very hard to grade cards like the Unlimited Snorlax Holo. Also from Neo Destiny was this Unlimited Dark Houndoom Holo that sold for $278, while the first edition example sold for $760. Here we have a Legendary Collection Holo Gyarados that sold as a PSA 10 for $697. From Topps Chrome, we have this Techno Eevee as a PSA 10 that sold for $2,619. And if you don't know, of all the variants from the Topps Chrome series with the Sparkles and the Spectras and the Technos, I do believe the Techno is the toughest card to pull. From the E series, we saw this Holo Alakazam from Skyridge that sold for $939. Getting into the EX era, we saw this Entei EX from Team Magma versus Team Aqua, sold for $911 as a PSA 10. We saw from EX Delta Species this Gold Star Kyogre sell for $4,231. We saw a Holo Charizard from EX Power Keeper sell this week for $1,225. And then we saw another Diamond and Pearl Stormfront Secret Rare Charmander. We saw one last week sell as a PSA 10. This week, another one sold for a similar price at $1,757. From Call of Legends, which is one of my favorite sets of all time, we saw this Holo Deoxys sell as a PSA 10 for $1,750. From Black and White Plasma Blast, we have this Full Art Jirachi EX sell for $560. And then from Plasma Freeze, we saw the Secret Rare Empoleon that sold for $795. And then to finish off our sales on eBay, here is a first edition base set booster pack that is light with the Venusaur artwork, sold for $2,650. And I wanted to bring this up because I always appreciate transparency in listings. This one right here, I mean, in the title it says it's light. In the description, the seller said, hey, if you didn't see the title, this pack is light, and he showed the weights, and yeah. So a legitimate light first edition base set pack sells for a little over $2,600. And then here we have a mint condition uncut EX Sandstorm Pokemon card sheet that sold for $4,050. Something I have never seen in auction before, so that was pretty interesting. Up next, we have the cards from the PWCC weekly auction block. Here is a first edition Shining Raichu in PSA 10 that sold for $3,240. The first edition Shining Tyranitar sold for $3,720, while the first edition Shining Mewtwo sold for $4,920. Here we have a PSA 10 Pikachu Scream promo card that sold for $2,520. And there's actually, this card is a black label coming up, which we will cover on next week's auction recap, and it's already over 5 figures, so it'll be exciting to see where that card ends at. Here we have a PSA 9 Trainer Deck B Machamp, sold for $3,600. Here's a first edition base set Red Cheeks Pikachu in PSA 10, sold for $4,920. Along with this black label 2019 Sun and Moon Limited Master Battle Set Pikachu card that sold for $3,480. And then here, folks, we have a BGS10 Black Label Alt Art Sylveon V from Evolving Skies. Pop 1 card that sold for $9,300 this week. And then we saw this PSA 10 promo Masaki Gengar Holo sell for $12,600. Here is a PSA 10 first edition base set Venusaur, sold for $14,400. And then the auction of the week we have to give to this PSA 10 first edition base set Charizard that sold via Golden Auctions, I believe, for $172,026. I believe the last sale of this card was for around $180,000, so it dipped a little bit there. What do you think, folks? Leave a comment below letting me know what you thought of this week's recap. That's all I got for you, folks. I really appreciate you tuning in. I'll catch you in my next one.